Welcome on back, everybody, to episode 83 of Streaming with the Mouse, where today we have an awesome episode where we're recapping Loki episode 2, The Variant. Sit back, relax. This is Streaming with the Mouse. Welcome on back, everybody, to Streaming with the Mouse, episode 83, where today we are recapping the second episode of the hit TV show Loki, titled The Variant. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, my co-pilot, Variant Loki, aka Cliff. Cliff, how you doing today, buddy?
But which one? I kind of want to be Hulk Loki.
I want to be the variant of the Tour de France Loki. It looked like that would be funny.
There were a lot.
There were
Pretty
tons
cool.
of Lokis, so
The
I could get
Hulk
Loki.
one
You could get Loki
cracked.
too.
The Hulk one cracked me up though the most.
That was wicked funny. But no, Cliff, how you doing today, buddy?
I am doing good. We're recording this on Thursday. I just finished the episode again with my brother, so it's fresh,
Perfect.
fresh up here.
Awesome. So we're going to do this the same way we've been doing this the whole time. We're going to be talking about the main points in this episode. We're not going to give you a beat by beat. There are other podcasts that do that. We are expecting that you've watched the show, and we're going to talk about some of the highlights of it, and we're going to talk about our thoughts and where we think the show could be going. Because, Cliff, I don't want to get ahead of my skis here. I love Loki. This might be like a top MCU project because this show is phenomenal. I loved WandaVision. I really liked Falcon and Winter Soldier. This is just blowing my brain right now.
I was having this conversation with a friend last night. This, I think, is going to be the best show out of the three that we've been given.
I'm very excited to rank this once we have all 6 episodes watched. Like,
For sure.
I'm very interested to see, especially where it is right now. Obviously, we're only a third of the way through. We still have 2/3 to go, so my opinion could definitely change. But right now, like, I'm just being blown away for this first about 2 hours or so of footage we got from, or content, excuse me, we've gotten from Loki.
hmm Yeah, it's been so much. It's been so cool, and I'm excited just to talk about this episode because it felt like felt like we've had so much more happen than just 2 episodes. This is the first time we have 2 episodes that are both like pretty much an hour. So it's pretty much like we've had a full movie.
I'll call a spade a spade. This is the most we've gotten the first 2 episodes than I think, honestly, we did for probably the first 5 episodes of Falcon Winter Soldier, if we're being completely honest.
And
Like,
I mean,
this has been top-notch
it's
stuff.
six episodes. It's pretty much like a trilogy of
Right.
a movie. That's I think the best way. Like right now we just got to the end where what happens next? Like we're going into it. So then the next 2 episodes are probably going to get very depressing, and then finally we'll have our. I don't think we're gonna have a resolution, but we're gonna have something happen.
And I would assume it's going to be enough of a resolution to close the show, but enough one more to get into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness in 2022.
Exactly.
But Cliff, before we talk about this episode some more, we do have some brief news that we want to talk about. So I'll start off with the first one. So the first one is if you're listening to this on Drop Day, which is June 18th, Luca has officially been released onto Disney Plus, which is very exciting since the pandemic has happened. Disney has now done this for 3 of their Pixar projects between Onward, Soul, and now Luca. So all 3 of these are available on Disney Plus with no additional premium charge fee. I like the concept of Luca. The artwork for it looked incredible when I originally saw like the first like teaser poster for Luca, and I was definitely doing some speculation of what the movie's going to be about. Now we have ideas with it with the different trailers and whatnot. It looks really cute. I'm excited to give it a watch. If not tomorrow, then at some point this weekend. But what are your thoughts on Luca coming out?
I'm I'm honestly kind of disappointed they're not putting it in theaters because I feel like we see what goes through this animation, like what the process is, and like we know what Disney animation does, and Pixar takes it like 20 million steps ahead. So I just feel like I don't want to like because it should be free. Well, it's not free. You're paying for a subscription. I feel bad for like those people that are working on this project and like it's like the big box office hit. They don't get that now. Like there's all these things, and I feel like Pixar is just so good on the flat screen. Like it's just so good. So I'm kind of disappointed that way. But we're gonna see if this changes how film does. It becomes more accessible for more kids, which is important because not everyone can afford to go to the movies. A lot of people can afford $7 a month for Disney Plus. So overall, it's good. I'll watch it. Probably not right away, but within the next month, I will.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. I definitely hear you on that. I think it's tough because they made that decision right away. Like, okay, this is free, and they definitely drew the line on like what movies are going to be a premiere access versus what's not going to be. And the Pixar kind of got the shift where those are not going to be premiere access, and they haven't been since the pandemic started.
Hmm.
Onward was in theaters for like a couple days, basically, before the world shut down last year. So, and I think I agree with you though. Soul would have looked great on like a big screen. I think Luca looks like it would be good on a big screen. So I wish that we had that option, but I also don't think you can even consider offering that option when you already have said it's going to be free at this point
Oh
and
no, you
have made
can't.
that
You
a trend.
cannot
Yeah,
backtrack. That's what they did with Black Widow. They waited and
right.
waited and waited. Um, Soul still won all the Oscars. Still won all
Yeah,
this stuff.
it's going to be great. I'm excited for it.
So this will probably be the last free one
I would have to guess. Yeah,
for openings, and I think that's fair. But yeah, I'll. It looks cool in concept. It'll be
yeah,
fun to watch.
for sure. Real quick, I know you have a news story, but I also want to mention yesterday the first teaser for the Chip and Dale animated show that also came out. That's on our Twitter and Instagram page. So if you want to check that out, it's there as well. But Cliff, your next news story.
So a new one, kind of interesting. Um, a Peter Jackson documentary about the Beatles is coming to us over Thanksgiving called The Beatles Get Back. Um, it's kind of brought from the footage of Let It Be, from 1970, so pretty cool. I'm shocked Disney got the rights to anything Beatles because no matter who they are, no matter what area you are, the Beatles is the most expensive thing to get music for. Pretty cool. I like documentaries. It's a cool idea. I know they just announced that new Disneyland Parks documentary, which is going to be going behind the scenes on the rides. So we're going to get a lot of cool documentaries. So if that's your cup of tea, you got more stuff coming for you.
And it's definitely my cup of tea, and I'll definitely watch that. That the Beatles Get Back has been announced for a while now. I didn't realize it was going to be Disney Plus. I
Neither
thought it
did
was going to
I.
be just a theater thing.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
I'll watch it though.
you're a Beatles mania kind of guy.
No, no, no. But I appreciate them, and I'll watch it, kind of a thing for sure. Definitely not. I'm more of like, give me Queen, give me Led Zeppelin kind
Oh,
of a person.
okay,
But I
okay.
will watch. I will watch this documentary probably within the first week it comes out,
Then
more
to
or
get
less.
sidetracked, then were you a fan of Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury? I
Yeah,
think
I was.
yeah. Oh, you
Yeah, I
were.
was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. It's fine. I know what I was going into.
I have not seen it, so
It's a good movie.
I needed to
To
see
be
the
honest with you,
reaction.
I love Queen. I've only seen the movie. I literally saw it this year for the very first time. It's pretty good.
I think we all watched a lot of movies that we never would have watched.
I got caught up on a lot of things since the pandemic. But Cliff, one more news story. It's we had a little bit of a talk about this last week as far as what we thought was going to happen. But it's been basically officially confirmed that the new Disney Plus release days are going to be moving up to Wednesdays for all the big premieres. From what I've been seeing, it's because Netflix has their Fridays, so now Disney Plus is going to try to own Wednesdays. So we'll see. I was a little disappointed. I was thinking like, I think we were texting. I was like, oh my god, there's like a perfect world where we might get like Miss Marvel on Wednesdays and Book of Boba Fett on Fridays, and that would have been sick. But it looks like we're getting these Wednesday releases, which is fine. Um, Definitely get the podcast out quicker now because we don't have to wait a whole weekend. We'll get back to you in like 2 days.
Who doesn't love
But
Friday? Who doesn't love Friday releases?
I do love it. It's nice. It's a nice way to end the week or start my last day of work on Fridays. Like I know tomorrow morning or when you're listening to this on Friday, I don't work today, but um, I'm excited to like get to watch Bad Batch and then you go to work and it's like, oh, that's great, and I get to think about it all day while I'm at work.
Oh yeah, I gotta watch
Which I
the
didn't
Bad
do that
Batch
on.
tomorrow.
Yes, see, isn't that a beautiful thing?
Oh
We had Loki
yeah, or today,
yesterday when we're
or
recording
today.
this. And then yeah, we had Loki on Wednesday, and now today on release day we have Bad Batch episode. What is it? 8, 7, 7, 8, whatever it is. So what are your thoughts on this? It is what it is for me, I guess. I wish we could own the whole calendar with Disney Plus, but oh well.
I don't picture them doing because you have to think probably November December lineup is gonna be Miss Marvel right into Hawkeye. Hawkeye might start in December and go into 2021. Um, or are we in 2021?
We are in
In
2021. Yes.
2022. Look at that. How is my week going? Um,
Cliff, this is
going
going to cause a moral conundrum. You're aware of that, right? Like, there's going to be a week where on the same day, a Marvel and Star Wars project are going to come out at the same time, and I don't know what I'm going to do with
and
myself.
I'm gonna watch Book of Boba Fett first. because we were given.
Yeah, I
Oh,
probably will too.
here's
I don't know.
you know what, and here's the thing. I'm gonna add one more thing because the best news releases of all time. Tamora Morrison at the spa was giving a look inside to what the Book of Boba Fett's gonna be, and he said how there's gonna be flashbacks in Book of Boba Fett that go all the way back to Empire Strikes Back.
That's incredible. I didn't hear
How
about that. That's
cool
incredible.
is that gonna be? People were saying that they only want Book of Boba Fett news releases, press releases, to only come from Tamora Morrison at the spa, just talking about his experience. So we're going to be seeing all these cool things. We might see the conversation that of Boba Fett bringing Han to Jabba. How cool is that going to be?
That'd be
Like
sick.
actually seeing Jabba on screen again in live action. There's all these cool things that I would pick. I would pick Book of Boba Fett over
I probably will too.
oh
I don't know. I love
over
my guy Boba.
over Hawkeye. Yes.
Miss Marvel, I would
Miss
have a
Marvel,
moral.
ooh, that'd be like a flip a coin, but it'd be
Yeah,
watching
Hawkeye.
both.
It's going over
It'd
Hawkeye.
be
No matter
watching
what.
them back to back at this, like, oh, start,
Well,
and
that's
then
my thing. Do I wake up at 3 and watch one, and then do I wake up at 7 and watch the other one before work? Like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I also might be back at work in the office. It's going to be a big deal for me, but we'll
I
figure
mean,
it
if
out.
you're
I guess
back
we'll
on the
get there.
T, then you're fine.
I'll watch it on the T. I have no care in the world of spoilers.
Oh, but
But
I think it's time.
that's what we got for news. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Loki episode 2, the variant. Same way. I know I beaten dead horse with it, but same way we've been doing it. We're just gonna talk about the major points. Let's talk about this opening scene to start off with, Cliff. I thought it was great.
I
Yeah.
just have to say, the beat a dead horse is very funny in the frame of Norse mythology because
Sure.
Loki is half horse,
Is he?
I believe. I will check while you start talking about your point. I will check myself. So go, be my guest.
Sounds
Go
good.
ahead.
So we started off with a great opening scene here where, and I really like how we get into the action. But TVA, they're looking after this rogue variant during 1985 in Wisconsin. They're investigating a Nexus event when they're like sneak attacked by the rogue variant that they've been in the hunt for. During this, one of the hunters, C-20, is kidnapped in the process. And this really helps kick off our episode. It gives us some direction where basically we're going to try to find C-20, but also we need to find this rogue variant. It cannot be happening anymore. What were your thoughts on how they opened this? It was very quick, and I appreciated it after we got that little cliffhanger in the last episode.
First off, I was partially correct. Loki sleeps with a horse in Norse mythology, and then from that gives birth to Odin's horse. Where's the name?
Okay.
Uh, Slefnir, like the six-legged horse that
Sure.
Odin has. Yeah, so Loki is the
Sure.
father of a horse. Really liked it. I thought the LARPing thing was very hilarious. Like, some of us need
I
this.
love the costume inaccuracy thing. It was funny.
And yeah, and then the woman that was like, some of us need this, you know. And I'm like, I do know. I do.
That's me every time I go to a con. Like, I need this
I
little,
need
like,
this.
nerd heaven
I
for my
need
life.
this. Really cool fight scene. We did get promised a I need a hero fight scene. I was hoping it was going to be with Loki. Kinda was, kinda wasn't.
Kind of.
I liked it though. It was pretty cool. And I have a conversation piece for towards the end of this episode. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. The scene was really cool. And it was funny to see their jokes.
Real quick, the I Need a Hero music playing in the background, I thought was so funny because I've seen so many like memes and TikToks of I Need a Hero playing in the background of like Marvel movies. Like people like combine it together with that. So it's funny to actually see that, like, oh no, this is like canon happening right now that they put I Need a Hero in the middle of the scene. I thought it was
Oh,
hilarious.
oh, I watched Shrek 2 last night, so I instantly think of that with Gonzo
I did too.
or
Yes.
whatever the big cookie's name is.
Yes. But no, a great opening scene. Again, we're getting these 50-minute episodes, but nothing is wasted. We're not doing any time wasting here. We are jumping right in the action. I thought this was a great way. There's a lot of promise to these last 4 episodes that they're going to hit the ground running, and I appreciate that. No fluff here, getting right into it. So I thought that was great. So it's not a big point, but I want to bring it up. That I thought that was awesome that they brought it up or started the episode like that.
No, it was definitely
Point
important.
number 2, Clifton Paul Robinson. You were correct. Loki was pulling us all over. He had me duped. He did not have Mobius duped, which I thought he did have Mobius duped, but he did not. But the biggest talking point of this is Loki is a deceitful SOB in this whole episode. So there's multiple points that show when he's being deceitful. So The only way he agrees to go with Mobius to Wisconsin 1985 with the rest of the TVA to investigate the Rogue variant event is he has to basically be coerced, and Mobius is like, I'll get you in front of the timekeepers if you'll do that. And Loki's like, yep, I'm not doing this for the greater good. I'm doing this for me. So he goes there. While he's investigating 1985 Wisconsin's Nexus event, he also tries to stall the team because we learned through a little scene with Miss Minutes, basically the explanation of like Nexus events is basically exactly what you called also Cliff. So Cliff is right again, 2.0. Basically, the Nexus events are fine and the reset charges can be set up until a certain point. And the certain point that's visually shown on this is when the branch or the Nexus event reaches the red line. That's the point of no return. That is the point that the event can't be reset. And basically, that's officially multiverse world. So even though these are causing mini multiverses, if they get stopped before the red line, it's fine. But once they cross that red line, that's a branch multiverse that can't be undone. So we do learn that through this. And Loki basically tries to stall, I think. It's not explicitly said, but I think to make sure that gets to the red line, which is just very deceitful of him because he wants to create this multiverse. He wants to figure out a way how he can meet the timekeepers. A couple other points showing how deceitful Loki is in this. He tries to talk to the TVA librarian while he's doing research about this, trying to figure out who this variant is. And he's like, no, I don't care about this. I want to learn about the timekeepers. I want to learn about the beginning of the time, how everything was started. I want to learn about how everything's going to end in the end of time to no avail. So again, he doesn't care about the mission. He wants the information that he wants and needs to do whatever he wants to do, basically own time and space, it seems like. The last time is he also tries to cause some doubt in Mobius, it seems, trying to tell him that, like, hey, nobody's ever good or bad. So, like, maybe these timekeepers aren't as good as you think they are. Like, you think they are because you're living in this world of time where you think they're correcting it. But what if what they're doing is bad and not supposed to be taking place here? Maybe there's not supposed to be a control timekeeper on time, essentially. So trying to sow those seeds, of doubt in Mobius's mind of, like, what his whole life is basically based off. But I know it's a lot right there, Cliff. But what are your thoughts on this? Obviously, you're right, so you can take the floor at this point.
I'll take my bow. I wouldn't say he's like a deceitful sob. He's self-serving.
Sure. Okay.
He's not doing it for the greater good. He's not doing it for the greater worse. He's doing it for himself. Whether that's good or bad shall remain to be seen. You brought up a good point that I'll ask my question that I wanted to talk about. It was very funny watching him try to stall.
Yes.
I think it partially was that the variant was still there and he let them get away. I think it was partially that, but also he was trying to get to the red line. Miss Minute was hilarious. That was really
I
funny.
love
Just
this
that
minute.
scene. And him wanting to meet with the timekeepers is interesting because I'm like, does he think he can kill them? Does he think he can do this? And I think the worst thing that we did in this whole episode was he completely ruined Mobius's salad for absolutely no good reason at all. Like, what was the point of that? That wasn't a bad metaphor. You just wanted to ruin the guy's lunch.
Can we
But
say it? Loki, 2012 Loki is a dick. Like, that's what he is. Like, we
he
know what
is.
we're getting into.
He is.
Like, he's a dick.
But he's already changing. He's already becoming that good Loki, which is
A little bit.
interesting.
But, like, what I appreciate, right, is I thought, I was like, wow, he went from bad 2012 Loki to good really quick in this last episode, episode 1, and I was wrong. But I appreciate that, like, it wasn't like they played us along, because I think that's a very Loki trope to do in any, like, Thor movie that we've had, is like, Loki's going to kind of play the good guy for a little bit, and then eventually he's going to turn. This, we immediately saw, like, he had the big crying scene. I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I thought Mobius did too. He did not. Mobius saw right through it. You saw right through it. Other people saw right through it. And immediately, this next episode, we have these moments where it's like, oh no, like Loki was toying with us, and I'm glad we got it right away instead of later in the show.
I'm shaking my finger. No. Mobius did not see the crying scene. The crying scene was Loki by himself, watching how the rest of his life would have panned out.
No,
That
sorry.
that
So that
was
I know.
real. That to me was real.
Sure, but like when Loki's like, I'm gonna help you, basically. But sorry, like when I meant it like that, like
Hmm.
Mobius. I thought Mobius had bought hook, line, and sinker. Like, oh, Loki's doing this for the greater good, but like, no, Loki's still always after himself, and Mobius catches that. Like, no, Loki only cares about him.
How interesting would it be if Mobius was also a Loki variant that had his mind wiped and is now
That'd be very
like,
interesting.
because he acts a lot like Mobius is very deceitful in a very kind way. Like the way he like butters up to his boss, like, oh, you know how much I love it. Like all these
I
things,
would
like,
holy cow, Cliff. I would. It's not going to happen. I don't think so.
oh
I
no,
would love it
he's
though.
not, but he's deceitful. Like he will be like the biggest like suck up to all these people, and then when he needs it to be himself, he's like, he
Cliff,
knows what Loki's doing.
you just messed up Marvel movies for me because now I have to think of a third thing. Anytime I see a new character, I have to think one is that a Skrull, two is that Mephisto, now three is that a Loki variant. Now
Is that a
I have to
Loki?
go through. Are
Is that a
these one of
Loki?
these three? There's nothing else that can be besides that. They're
It's
either a Skrull, a Loki variant, or Mephisto.
it's like it's like the you're Squidward, I'm Squidward, you're Loki, I'm Loki, we're all Loki. Um, and I think Mobius has ulterior motives to a sense. And I'll talk about my timekeeper theory that I read online that I really liked. Do you think the TVA is good or bad?
I think
You
I
can say
kind of
it's
like.
you can say it's gray also.
I think it's
It's not
very
one or
gray.
the other.
I think the TVA and the individual members of the TVA is gray as heck. I think Loki could have a point where the timekeepers are maybe a bad thing, and they're using the TVA, and the TVA people don't know any better because that's their whole existence is like this TVA thing. So I think that's why it kind of messes with Mobius's mind. It's like, no, of course, like the timekeepers are good because this is his whole existence is based off this and being a time
But
like
is it? But is it?
me. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, but like that's what he thinks. But the TVA could have, yeah, could definitely be set up by the timekeepers to do. Maybe there's supposed to be a multiverse. Maybe they're the whole like this whole like multiverse war never happened, and they're just using it as an excuse because they want to
It's all
control time and space. When in reality, there should be multiple worlds. I don't
it's
know.
all propaganda, guys. No.
Yeah, it might be.
um
You
I
laugh. It
think
might be. I don't know.
I
We'll see.
know. I mask I hide my scaredness through humor. Let me live. I think so. If we've used it before. We have the chart, the D&D chart. I would put the TVA at the moment, from what I've seen, at lawful evil because they
Sure.
follow set of laws, but they're very much willing to kill people. They kill variants left and right, or do something to them. I'll talk about that at the end. Where a lot of these timekeepers that go in and scrub the timeline are like the definition of bad cops. When they go in and the guy's like, "Oh, are you FEMA? How do you get here?" and the guy's being an absolute a hole. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, why are you acting like this? Like, you're not being a good guy right now. You're actively acting like a villain. Same thing with I forget her name, the
B-15.
B-15. She's not nice.
Yeah.
And and this was very funny. Someone sped up when in the first episode when she hits Loki and goes, "You are now moving at 1/15th speed." Someone sped it up to 1/15th speed and it was still going slow. So someone's like,
That's,
this woman just committed time police abuse by slowing it down even more than it was and abusing her power. So they're these people with excessive amounts of power that abuse it significantly. So I'm interested to see what the timekeepers also do.
yeah.
It's gonna be interesting.
I mean, Loki brings up a great point. He's like, he kind of says it. I was like, wow, I didn't like. I thought I was like, oh yeah, it's great. They just like timekeepers to make sure that like these variants don't happen. But like, if a variant happens, it becomes a like a very interesting moral dilemma because if a variant happens, right, it doesn't really matter to the sacred timeline. All it matters is like it's going to create a branch and it'll affect those people in the branch, but not the main one. So is that okay? But it's very weird. But like Loki says, nobody has free will because if you had the free will to become a variant basically and break the branch, you're immediately getting wiped out the face of the planet, and you're supposed to be in line with the sacred timeline. There's no variance that can happen. There is no such thing as free will under the timekeepers. It really isn't. So I thought that was a very interesting and astute point by Loki that he brings up in this. And I don't know if you have anything else to add before we transition to this next part, but
I'll add to it, like, yeah, technically, if the timekeepers exist in our universe, this podcast is meant to happen, and whoever's listening to it is meant to
some
listen to
dumb
it.
timekeepers who let us happen, let this happen.
And if you were supposed to listen to it, and then you decided not to, you're a variant, so you'd get redone to listen. And it's the whole thing where Mobius is like, yeah, I'm created by these guys. You're the son of a god. Don't think about it. Like, don't think about it, because it breaks the
Oh,
way
it's breaking my brain
you
right now.
think. And that's the thing where Mobius is like, don't break my world. And I won't even go down that road of where that talking can lead to, towards something organized in society, where that's what happens, where it's like, I have my bubble and I want to keep believing in that bubble, and that is okay. But sometimes there are those people that think about it more and break the bubble, and then, like a variant, they break the bubble, but then they start breaking the bubble for people around them as well. So what happens if there's a variant in the time authority?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, it's cool because like Mobius is like, don't speculate. Like, just let me, like, this is my life. This is how I'm picturing it. But it's cool because like as an outside observer of the show, which obviously it's a fake show, unless it isn't, because maybe it's real. I don't know
Maybe.
anymore. Timekeepers are messing me all up now, but like it's nice because we can still observe this and be like, oh, holy cow! Like Loki may be right here. Like, what the heck is happening? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But as I use the word deceitful, maybe that's a bad word for it. But Loki is definitely being self-serving. I think that's a great
Mm-hmm.
word for it instead of deceitful. But Loki also helps out a lot in this episode too. So Loki's helpful because when exploring the file about himself, which he got as opposed to information about the timekeepers, the beginning and end of time, he gets information about himself. He learns about Ragnarok, which obviously hasn't happened in 2012. That's going to happen later in 2018. And he begins to theorize, like, wait, Ragnarok happened. That means if I go back to Ragnarok, anything I do doesn't matter because at the end of the day, Ragnarok will still happen. Asgard still dies. So that shouldn't create a Nexus event. So what if this rogue variant is hiding in a like catastrophic, apocalyptic, whatever you want to say, event where no matter what they do, it's not going to create a Nexus event. So it shouldn't like basically give them up to the TVA. That basically saying the rogue variant only gives themselves up to the TVA when they want to, which is when they want to go steal those reset charges. So I thought this was, I don't know how to say this. It's funny, but also really messed up that they go test this out in Pompeii, where all these people, they go to 7D8 Pompeii right before the volcano explodes, and they basically just like run amok, basically just to see like the butterfly effect. Does anything happen if I do anything here? Does that Nexus event occurs? It's kind of messed up, like telling them, "Oh, you're all gonna die. Nothing you do matters." It's like really like funny, but also like, "Oh, this is so depressing and sad because these people are just gonna die from a volcano." They escape Pompeii before the volcano explodes, or right as it explodes, but they don't get hurt. And they realize, like, holy cow, like, no, that no branch was even created because nothing we did matter. Because at the end of the day, Pompeii was still going to burn to ashes because of the volcano. So, what were your thoughts on that? I thought it was a very cool plot device that they could do this and have this catastrophic event and they could explore this, and that's how they can get away with like, okay, there isn't necessarily a butterfly effect for everything because if something's still meant to happen that would override that, so it doesn't even affect it that much of a branch, it's fine. So what were your thoughts on that?
Very smart, very cool. The only reason they did Pompeii is because you cannot do anything within the last 300 years, or else it would have been,
Sure.
you're canceled. Um, for good
There are
reason.
tons you cannot do, so I'm glad that if they're gonna do one, go to Pompeii.
How dare you? Um, very clever. I thought it was funny as well. It was cool seeing, and then of course it explodes. And I think the funniest thing is when he's like, "You're all gonna die," and they're all just looking at him like, "Oh boy, not this type of guy again." Um,
Because that definitely happened at least like once a week in Pompeii with like some like
oh,
big thing.
definitely. Um, just a cool concept, and I like how it worked. Um, and then Moby says like, "How great! He's already found a huge security breach," and she's like, and I forget her name. She's like, "Yeah, that's not a good thing."
That's like literally not a good. You mean Renslayer?
Yes.
Yeah.
What a cool
Um.
name. See,
So
I get
essentially, they found out this. Do you have anything else on this? I thought
no.
it was a very cool. I I agree with Moby. It's like, oh my god, he found a breach. I thought it was a very cool plot device, and I like how they did that. And they did it enough so it's like it was dumbed down, but not like overly done. It was very quick. Like, here's the explanation. Here's an example of how this is going to work. Great, the viewer gets what's happening. Now we can move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
Absolutely.
discover back when they went to like the 1500s or whatever it was in France, the variant dropped a candy bar that was only made from like 19 or excuse me, I'm sorry, 2049 to like 2051 or something like that. So using this, they're able to look into the future to us, to Mobius. It's just all one timeline kind of thing to see what catastrophic events are happening between that time that that candy bar exists and that this variant could be hiding. They figure out that the variant is hiding in 2050 Alabama, where a catastrophic hurricane is about to hit. And after some convincing to Renslayer, like let me go with Loki, they end up going to this event where they're at what is it called? Like Rock's Cart, I think is what it's called. which is basically like, hey, look, like Roxxon Corp is alive and well in 2050 because they have a store chain after them now, which is interesting because Rox Corp was a big part of like Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, and the Daredevil show, which is now not canon. So interesting to see with that. But they go to this supermarket where people are being refuged as this hurricane is about to hit and about to kill them all. There's where they do find the rogue variant, and they don't find the rogue variant immediately, but they realize that the rogue variant is taking over people's bodies, which is very interesting. It's a very Loki thing to do, I think, especially when Loki had the Mind Stone when he was oh my god, what's the guy's name from Thor? Eric Slovin or whatever his name is, the scientist that he like controls, Slovik or whatever. He controls him with the Mind Stone, something like that. Yeah, so he controls him with the Mind Stone, and that's kind of what this rogue variant is doing, where they're controlling people's bodies, talking as them, and basically this whole time they're basically like setting up a chain reaction with these reset charges that they have. Loki's trying to reason with the variant. Listen, be like, yeah, I got a plan. Like, I want to overthrow the Timekeepers. So this is the first time we actually hear like Loki's plan out loud. Like, this is his goal. He wants to overthrow the Timekeepers. The variant rejects Loki. Loki's cause to join him, which kind of I think sets Loki up a little bit back because he's like, well, if you're a Loki, like, wouldn't you want to do this? Like, well, I would want to do this, so wouldn't you? Meanwhile, this is happening. C20, who was kidnapped by the variant, is found. So she was kidnapped in the beginning of the episode. She's found, and it's revealed that it seems like she's given up the location of the Timekeepers to the variant. Like I mentioned, the variant is setting up all these charges as she's like switching between these. They, I should say, is switching up all these reset charges. Finally, with the final body that they possess, they rig the timer, and when the timer goes off, all the reset charges that they've been stealing from the TVA are sent scattered across the sacred timeline. It's really explained as like somebody just bombed the sacred timeline, and it creates a wide array of branching timelines. TVA is freaking out. This is a big thing that should not happen. It's not just one Nexus event that you got to go deal with. It's a bunch of Nexus events, and we see it's happening around like the MCU. We see it's happening in Titan, in Ego, on New York, in different places around the world, and in different parts of the timeline. So I don't think we see anything within like our timeline. I think the earliest one was like 2004 New York, which I think is interesting because I feel like that's when Spider-Man came out, the Raimi Spider-Man. So that's interesting to me. But like it's like all these types of things. So we'll see what happens with that. So it's not officially that the multiverse has been created, but we're getting close to it because unless they stop these multiverses hitting this red line, these are branches that are going to be around forever unless the Timekeepers can do something about it. We'll just finish up now and then we'll talk about all of it. I know it's a lot to talk about, but it's revealed that the variant finally reveals themselves, and it is what we assumed last week. We think, we could be wrong, but it's Lady Loki is what we're going to call her for now.
Actually, they call her on IMDb the Variant.
Okay, they call her the Variant. Okay, so the variant is a female version of Loki minus the black hair. She's blonde. Some people are speculating that this is actually Enchantress.
I am one of them.
And I agreed with you after I thought about it. So this is who, in the comics, she is a character that gets her like magic powers straight from Loki. So it'd be interesting to see if this is Enchantress as opposed to variant Loki. Could it be maybe Loki's variant Loki in Enchantress's body? We don't know. We do know that Loki was is gender fluid according to their TVA papers. We see that Loki can be transformed into a whole bunch of different Lokis, whether it's a Hulk Loki or a Cyclist Loki or a bunch of other things. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we have a female version of Loki. It's actually canon in the comic books that Loki has been female before as well, and that's a big part of Norse mythology as well. So we see this female Loki. We're going to call it that for now. And after she sets off these charges and basically bombs the multiverse, she leaves Rockhart through a time door. Loki is about to walk through it. He sees Mobius running towards him, saying, wait, don't do it. And Loki ends up following the variant through the door, leaving Morbius behind in 2050 Alabama. And now the variant and our 2012 Loki are gone. I know it's a lot to talk about. Well, what are your thoughts on this? I thought this was unbelievably well done. This was sick. The way they filmed this, the storyline with it, everything about this was honestly perfect for me.
Anyone that watches on YouTube saw me have my little epiphany. I'll adjust that at the end. Um, Very cool how they tracked it down with all the different things, with all the different catastrophes. If you paid attention, all the catastrophes were weather related and climate related. I wonder where they got that from. Uh, what was the volcano that erupted again?
Pompeii.
Did they say Pompeii erupted again? No, Vesuvius. Yeah,
Oh,
which
did they
is
say that?
they
Oh
said
no, it was on Oh my
it
God,
was.
where was it?
They were like, oh, this volcano erupted
Krakatoa or
again.
something like that.
Krakatoa erupted again. Um, I thought it was really funny how they did the big shopping mall. Like the shopping mall is the town, and everyone's waiting there. Um, it was really interesting seeing the variant go through all the different bodies for their need. Like just a regular guy to talk to him, uh, than the agent to be like to get her away from Loki, and then the big brute to beat him up. So it was cool
Yes,
seeing her use all these different characters to get to him. Um, the way that she bombed the timeline was just so cool and well
it was
done.
awesome.
And then when they cut
Well, can I
back
ask
to
you this real quick? Because I
yes,
don't think I realized this. The reset charges never turned purple originally. They turned purple when she bombs the sacred timeline. But like, I'm wondering if she did something to make these reset charges because they're not resetting; they're basically creating multiverses. So I wonder if she like altered them or something. Maybe I guess would be the best way.
probably that would be my best guess. Um, and just so cool overall. And then my little epiphany when I was like, oh, C20 told the variant where the timekeepers are. What if that variant is going to like the next episode we see the timekeepers and that's where the variant took 2012 Loki and we get to meet the
Maybe.
timekeeper as well. They're all working on other things. We obviously know we're probably like a President Loki next episode or in episode
I hope
4.
so. I'm dying
I
for
think and I
President
think
Loki.
that's when they capture him again because I'm pretty sure that was in the um trailer of them tackling President Loki on the stage with all his Viking
And real
friends.
quick, I found some screenshots. Some of the places that the sacred timeline was bombed. 1999, Cookville, USA. 2004, Asgard. 1390, Rome. 1984, Sakar. 1808, Baricha. I think that's in Colombia. Um, let me see what else was bombed. Somewhere in Finland, and then the big ones were 1302, Ego, and 1982, Titan. So if we get some sort of like young Thanos from this kind of thing, that would be incredible if that's how we get Thanos back in the MCU.
That would be. We've
It'd
also
be
kind of
sick.
been hinted that we're gonna get Thanos in Eternals
Eternals
because
potentially, yeah.
Thanos is their cousin. So I want to talk about the variant, aka Lady Loki, aka Enchantress. There, I will support my theory with facts why I believe it's her. Well, the first one is that for the dubs for I believe Spanish, it was her name was Salile or Celine, whatever it is,
I don't pronounce it, but yeah.
which is her MCU name. It's a different Enchantress. It's kind of annoying because it's the younger Enchantress's name. This actress is over 30, when this Enchantress is supposed to be 18 and in the Young Avengers. Um, there are two different ones though. When Loki says should I say Loki, and she's like, ugh, don't call me that. Like,
Which that makes sense.
why
Why
don't
you
you want to
wouldn't
be
be Loki?
called your name?
She
Um,
hates the guy who gave her powers, probably. So that makes a lot of sense too. That tracks.
and then the blonde hair. Why would you make Lady Loki and take away the staple black hair?
Yeah, which is in the comics. So that was I was like, oh, that was weird, and I was like, nothing that the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Kevin Feige and everybody else does is weird. There's a reason for everything. There's a reason that female Loki, aka I agree, is Enchantress, is blonde. There's a reason, most likely, there was no time stone in what's his name, Clyde or whatever his name was, not Clyde,
Mm-hmm.
in his drawer as a
Mm-hmm.
paperweight kind of thing. There's a reason behind their madness, so I'm sure. Yeah, like I think that was a very big like, hey, no, she's not having black hair. She needs to have a different color hair because we are signifying this is actually not Loki.
Unless you're James Gunn. Have you seen that thing where it's
No.
like, why didn't you make Drax green? Oh,
Oh, I did see that
because
because of the coloring, right?
I don't like green doesn't do well, and it's so hard to make human like. And then they were like, what about Gamora? And he was, I almost made her blue. but Avatar. And then it was like, why was Ego Star Lord's father or not? I forget his name. And he goes, because that was a stupid name. So James Gunn is, but he's also a different breed of movie maker,
Yeah.
and everything works well. So Feige's very much more calculated, where James Gunn knows how to produce something while changing it, but for a good reason or just for a fun reason that makes it better for the story. But yeah, I think it's going to be Enchantress, or it's going to be a form of Enchantress, or it is Loki. There's so many ways
the
that it
way
can
that they're
go.
the way they're showing this, we'll get answers.
Oh,
I think we got answers this week about things we had questions for last week. I think the same thing we're gonna get answers next week for this week.
and the other big thing is when the big guy starts beating him up. Loki goes, "I would never treat myself like this," which was another big thing because all Lokis are the same in that
All
sense as
Lokis love
well.
each other.
So, unlike all the Ricks do not love each other.
I still want like a citadel of Lokis. Like I still think that would be the funniest thing if the TVA just becomes a citadel of Lokis. But Cliff, any other final thoughts on this? I'll stay in mine real quick after you do yours.
So I'm gonna go down the path that the real villains are gonna turn out to be, in some sense, the timekeepers. Because I had this conversation with my brother. Why are there these three specific people dictating how flow of time works? Why are you? Because we have other external beings that are
Right.
very powerful. We have, oh crap, who's going to be an Ant Man? Kang the
Kong.
Kang the Conqueror. We have the Watcher. All these people that are meant to watch over multiple timelines. I think it's my belief where it's these three have locked in the MCU, and if it breaks through, it connects the multiverses again. That's been my theory since last week. I'm going to stick to it, where these people are holding a single universe hostage while everything else is. And this is where I saw this online. I'm not taking any credit for this. This was on Reddit. What if all of the timekeepers, or what if all of the agents are variants, are bad variants, and they wiped their minds to make them the agents for the TVA?
So there's like a real Mobius in like our sacred timeline.
Because Mobius makes the most sense for being a 1990s guy, especially with the jet ski stuff. Why is he so obsessed with all these things and his lingo and how he dresses?
What
And
if
it just,
Mobius was just legitimately just Owen Wilson playing himself? That would be hilarious.
that would be very funny. I've also thought about that thing where what happens if the MCU was 15 years younger? If it started 15 years ago, there's a good chance Owen Wilson probably could have been Thor. Weirdly,
That's a
like
weird thing, but maybe.
it's like that thing where, well, maybe not. He probably could have been Ant Man.
That's better. That's way
Yeah,
better than Thor. But yes.
but also
Um,
back 15 years ago, they wouldn't have had a Chris Hemsworth like big bulky guy being Thor. They would have had him been a little bit more like dorkish, like
Potentially, yeah.
for the
My big
for the
thing,
time.
my big thing is I do think the timekeepers are maybe not the bad guy, but they're an opposing force that will. There's no way the timekeepers cannot survive past this. I don't think, because how the heck do we have multiverse of madness in Doctor Strange? Like, there's got to be some way that the timekeepers are. I agree with you. Are some sort of opposing force who are not letting like not letting free will to happen because they are only letting what they want to happen. Everything else by the TVA, which is dictated by them, is wiped off the map. And you can't have a multiverse of madness with these timekeepers in one sacred timeline. So it'll be interesting to see. I love this episode. I love both these episodes. This is not slowly, very quickly becoming one of my favorite things Marvel has ever done as far as the MCU is concerned.
I agree, 100%. I have nothing to add on top of that.
At that point, I mean, we do it every week. Shout out to Kevin Feige. Shout out to all the actors, all the writers, everyone. I can't wait for next Wednesday. I can't wait for next Wednesday. Can't wait for next Thursday to talk more about this. We'll be back, obviously, next week when we're going to talk about the Bad Batch episode. I think it's 8. I always
Yep.
forget what number it is. We're doing 2 shows now, but we'll talk about Bad Batch episode 8 next Monday. But until then, I want to hear your Loki thoughts. I want to hear everybody's Loki thoughts. Cliff, where can people talk about Loki with you on social?
You can find me at CP Robinson 81.
And you can find me at CamRamos95. You can also find the podcast on Twitter at Stream the Mouse. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Streaming with the Mouse. You can find us on our website, cprob.com/streamthemouse. And you can find us, where else can you find us? Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube. Be sure to check us out, rate, review, subscribe, like us, all that other stuff. Helps us get more people to listen to this podcast, listen to our dumb theories, maybe our smart theories, like Cliff's theory last week was really smart. And yeah, so that's all we got for today. Thanks so much for joining us, Cliff. Thanks for the great conversation. I love this time of the week every week, especially with these Marvel and Star Wars projects. But from Cliff Robinson, I'm Cam Ramos. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a magical day. Avengers Disassemble.
Have a mischievous day, everyone.
Bye bye, everyone.